If you're not from America or have spent a long amount of time there, you may not realize how deeply, deeply segregated, racially segregated the society is. If you don't know me, I'm Goodwill Hunting. I am a writer from Northern Ireland, stroke the north of Ireland, and I'm using TikTok to get a book deal for my novel Influenced. I wasn't really going to speak about this because it's not my place to make a video like this as a white person, but this person left this comment and I just wanted to touch on it really quickly because I think it's worth just speaking about my observations as a non-American who spent time in America. So I'm going to use a really specific example so that nobody can say that I'm talking out of my arse. So I love hip hop and I was staying in New York for like a prolonged period of time over the course of a year, and I saw the Roots were playing in Philadelphia. Now it was part of a festival, so it was like the Roots, Lil Wayne, Nas, Jill Scott was there. Like there was so many amazing artists and I was like, I have to go to this event. So I booked a ticket. It was really cheap. Also, like for America, it was cheap. And to see all of those artists like separately here, you'd be waiting years. So I booked a ticket. Also, I solo travel all the time, so I don't think anything of this. But I booked like an Airbnb, like a room just in like a shared kind of Airbnb building in Philadelphia. Now the event was in West Philly, which again, I didn't think anything of. I knew it was like where Fresh Prince is from, but that was kind of my only reference point. And I traveled down on the megabus, and on the day of the festival, I got an Uber to the event, and the guy that was driving the Uber, I will say everyone in this area was black. That's not a problem, by the way. Like I just noticed that it was like blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. Like I would say miles, everyone was black, which we don't really have here to the same extent. We do have segregated areas, but it's nowhere near the same extent in Europe. So I go to this festival and I'm in the car and the guy's black driving the taxi, and he's like what, basically like, what are you doing here, but like in a funny way. And I was like, oh, I'm Irish, like I'm staying in New York, I just love this, like all these artists, blah blah blah, I've wanted to see the Roots for ages. And he was like, oh okay, and then he goes, you'll be fine. And I was like, what do you mean I'll be fine? And he was like, you're Irish, it's okay. And I was kind of like, okay. And I kind of picked up that it was because I'm like a white lady going to this festival alone. I just want to add, I don't think it was anything to do with like my safety or anything like that. It was more because it's not really appropriate. Like it's just a bit of a strange thing. Like a white American woman would never do that, you know. Anyways, I get there and like it's a huge festival. It's like thousands and thousands of people. I would say honestly there was like 3 other white people there. Now this is in no means a complaint. Everyone was lovely and really sound. But what I noticed was, like I say, the cultural segregation in America is crazy. Like it's almost as if there's 2 countries running congruently beside each other. And what I found was that black people have no choice but to consume white media and to code switch and like partake in white media for the most part, whereas white people can completely opt out of black media. They can also obviously opt out of anything to do with having to engage with the black community as well. But it was just really shocking because an event like that in London would be so mixed, so diverse. People would be fucking buzzing for it, like from all different walks of life. And over there it felt, and rightly so, I understand not wanting to have loads and loads of white people like descend on that kind of event, but it was just such a stark example to me of the way that America is completely culturally divided. And like this comment says, for example, the film Sinners, so many white Americans are not going to watch that film just because it has black people in it. And it really is that deep. Black American culture is one of the greatest forms of media that the US has. And this comment goes on to say the reason for that is because when people don't speak English as their first language, they often gravitate towards Black media because they pick up on AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English. We have a similar dialect in the UK, which is MLE, which is Multicultural London English. Although I would say AAVE is probably more globally recognized and pronounced. But something I just want to say on this, and this is not necessarily relating to AAVE, but as someone who grew up in Ireland, in the sectarian part of the north, I did not have access to Irish television. So I wasn't watching Irish media like RTE and those sorts of things. And I also didn't like watching predominantly English TV because I didn't relate to it. And it wasn't even so much as like I didn't relate to it because they were English. It was just like, you know, we talked about England in the house. Like we knew what the score was. So whilst I did enjoy like Tracy Baker and all those kind of shows, it wasn't like my go-to. My go-to growing up was always American media. In particular, The Simpsons, Fresh Prince, Kenan and Kel, Sister Sister, and Even Stevens, which is the one with Shia LaBeouf. It also might sound really random, but we watched Sister Act 1 and 2 all the time in my house as well because, well, in my nanny's house, because my nanny and my granddad are Catholic. And they actually, like, as long as it had nuns in it, it was going to be on the TV. So it was like, I also watched Friends, so I did consume, like, white American media as well. But, like, it was weird because a lot of the TV channels that we picked up had a lot of, like, Black TV shows that maybe white Americans wouldn't necessarily watch. It goes without saying that it's pretty much entirely Black music, American Black music that I have like listened to. I listened to growing up, and that has really, really formed who I am today. I still, to this day, remember when I first heard Lose My Breath, Destiny's Child, and I was like, right, that's it. Life's changed forever. And it really has.